Welcome to the channel where every story uncovers the shocking truths hidden behind the smiles, the secrets lurking in seemingly perfect lives, and the betrayals that cut deepest when least expected. Here, every twist of fate exposes raw emotions, family drama, and relationships pushed to the breaking point. From marriages shattered by greed to humbling moments that turn humiliation into empowerment, each story takes you on an unforgettable journey through deception, manipulation, and revelation. Witness how carefully orchestrated patience and resilience can reverse the course of betrayal, turning loss into unexpected victory. These are not just tales, they're eye-opening journeys that reveal what really happens when secrets come to light and entitlement meets its match. Prepare to be captivated, shocked, and inspired, because the truths we uncover will stay with you long after the story ends. He thought the divorce had given him everything: the house, the cars, the accounts he had been dreaming of for years, all neatly signed over, all his to claim. Every time he smiled, there was that smug look, like he had outsmarted the world. But beneath that arrogance, the cracks were already forming, invisible to him, but impossible to ignore. Every move he made in triumph was carefully noted, catalogued, and quietly turned against him. The first moment of his unraveling came from the people he thought were loyal. Friends he considered allies quietly walked away, revealing alliances and conversations he never knew existed. The truth about who had been siding with whom, the whispered judgments and hidden resentments, started surfacing in ways he could neither control nor ignore. The accounts he assumed were liquid gold had strings attached: debts, tax penalties, and legal snares that had been patiently arranged in silence, waiting for the perfect moment. Even the house, his ultimate trophy, held secrets. Hidden paperwork, pending liens, and subtle manipulations meant that every room he stepped into reminded him of what was lost, not in the court's ruling, but in life itself. The world he thought he controlled had been a fragile illusion. Every phone call, every glance from family members hinted at the subtle ways he had been outmaneuvered. He had underestimated the depth of knowledge, the patience, the careful planning that had gone unnoticed while he basked in apparent victory. It wasn't about vengeance that burned, it was about revelation. The satisfaction wasn't just in seeing him falter, it was in the unveiling of truths he had ignored for so long, the betrayals he had orchestrated, the lies he had spun, and the arrogance that blinded him to consequences. Life has a way of balancing itself quietly, without fanfare, and the quiet satisfaction was in watching that balance tip. By the time he realized it, the power he thought he wielded was gone. Every asset, every advantage, every illusion of control had turned into a mirror showing only his miscalculations and hubris. And in that moment, it became clear: winning everything in a divorce didn't mean winning at all. On the surface, everything looked perfect. The kind of marriage people envied: the dinners, the vacations, the flawless smiles at family gatherings. But behind that curated life, cracks had been growing for years, hidden beneath polite conversations and carefully staged photos. It wasn't until the legal papers were signed and the doors closed for the last time that the depth of deception became clear. Every gesture, every word he had ever spoken now seemed tinged with manipulation, revealing the gaps between what was seen and what had really been. The secrets came to light slowly, like a film reel unspooling in reverse. Friends revealed whispers long ignored, business partners confessed betrayals previously hidden, and the quiet alliances within the family shifted in ways that left him exposed. Every confident step he took in his newly claimed victory was met with invisible obstacles he didn't notice: unpaid taxes quietly assigned to him, contracts he thought were secure now riddled with clauses he had overlooked, and relationships he assumed were intact quietly unraveling. It was the small things that hurt the most, the discoveries that showed who he really was when no one was watching, the hidden debts from reckless ventures, the secrets kept from those who trusted him, and the lies spun so convincingly that no one ever questioned them until the facade collapsed. Each revelation stripped away layers of control he thought he had, leaving only the raw truth: arrogance, entitlement, and a complete underestimation of the consequences that waited just beneath the surface. Watching him grapple with realities he had never considered, realizing that the perfect life he had built was an illusion, was the most satisfying part. The shock, the confusion, the betrayal he had caused others now reflecting back on him, it was poetic justice in its quietest, sharpest form. He had thought the court had decided everything, but life had its own reckoning, and it was far more revealing, far more absolute. Every secret unveiled, every misstep exposed, showed that control could never truly be claimed through deceit or manipulation. And in the end, the truth he never saw coming became the only power that truly mattered. He thought the humiliation of the divorce was complete, that every shred of power had been ripped from him, and that the loss was absolute. What he didn't realize was how underestimating resilience could turn every insult, every slight, and every financial setback into fuel for a victory he would never see coming. Every confident smile he carried, every boast about winning it all, blinded him to the careful patience that had been building quietly in the background, preparing to overturn the life he thought he had secured. The first moments of the turnaround were subtle. Contacts he believed were loyal quietly shifted their allegiances, revealing alliances and insights he had dismissed as insignificant. Opportunities he assumed were closed off quietly reopened, carefully manipulated behind the scenes. Every humiliating encounter he endured, every snub from former friends or business associates, became a stepping stone towards something larger, something meticulously planned and impossible to stop. Resilience became the hidden weapon, a quiet but unyielding force that turned loss into leverage. Every betrayal he had orchestrated, every lie he had spun, every manipulative move he had taken was now mirrored back at him, amplified and impossible to ignore. What had once been humiliation transformed into a platform for exposure, turning his arrogance and overconfidence into a liability he could not escape. The shift was as dramatic as it was subtle. Accounts he believed he fully controlled became entangled in legal knots he had never anticipated. Plans he had made for dominance in business and family circles fell apart under scrutiny he thought would never touch him. Every attempt to reassert control only highlighted how underestimated resilience had quietly rewritten the rules. And then came the revelation he could not sidestep. Every loss he thought was final had been the groundwork for his undoing. The humiliation that once seemed complete now served as a mirror reflecting every miscalculation, every hidden betrayal he had overlooked. Victory, it turned out, wasn't about what he had taken, it was about what he had failed to see. Every calculated step had been part of a quiet, unassuming plan, one that he never saw coming. Years of manipulation, lies, and entitlement had built an invisible wall around him, convincing him that he could take everything and escape without consequence. But deception has a way of folding back on itself, and patience, carefully nurtured, deliberate, and unobserved, became the instrument that slowly rewrote the story he thought he controlled. At first, the changes were imperceptible. Small errors in his accounting, unnoticed alliances among colleagues and family members, and subtle shifts in influence began to create cracks in the fortress he had built around his life. Every move he made, every confident assertion that the divorce had left him untouchable, played right into the hands of a plan that was both patient and precise. What he had dismissed as trivial or inconsequential slowly grew into leverage that would tip the scales entirely. The shocking revelations came in layers. The deals he had assumed were secure began to unravel under scrutiny he hadn't anticipated. Secrets he had buried, believing them safe, were suddenly exposed by the very people he thought were loyal. The arrogance that had once made him untouchable became a liability, highlighting every misjudgment, every betrayal, and every reckless choice. What he had taken for granted, the loyalty, the silence, the unquestioned control, was never truly his to claim. And yet, it was the human element that struck hardest, the raw emotions, the subtle betrayals, the careful observations of how he treated others. All of it had been quietly collected, understood, and turned into an unassailable advantage. Every insult he had thrown, every humiliation he had inflicted, became the framework for a reversal that left no room for escape. By the time he realized the extent of the shift, the outcome had long been sealed. The life he had thought he dominated had been transformed beneath his nose, proving that patience, persistence, and strategic observation could completely overturn betrayal and entitlement. In the end, control never truly belonged to him. Thank you for watching and diving deep into this whirlwind of betrayal, secrets, and shocking revelations. If this story captivated you, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another twist of fate. Share your thoughts and reactions in the comments. We love hearing your take on these unforgettable family dramas. Every story here is a reminder that patience, resilience, and truth always find a way to surface. Stay tuned for more stories that expose hidden truths, raw emotions, and jaw-dropping secrets. And remember, the truth always has a way of coming out.